Hey everybody, this is Dan with Avantnovis. Today we're doing a community request, and it is going to be making icy landscapes. This has been one I've been kind of working on. It's actually kind of easy but tricky to figure out how to do it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to look at Google Maps. Also, welcome to the channel, everybody that's here, and we will get going. Nomad, thanks for being here. All right, so let's go ahead and let's look at some icy places on our good old planet Earth. Now, since we are also going to do a fantasy map, this also applies to, we're going to make it semi-realistic and then kind of mess with the principles of the Earth. Okay, so let's go ahead and have a look over here at Greenland and some of the isles near Canada. We can see, first of all, that now this satellite image, of course, was taken in the summer. But we can see that the ice fields of these islands, generally the ice hangs around kind of the mountains, kind of in a blob pattern, but doesn't really reach to the sea. There is some ice right here. The farther you get, you find it. Now, down in these areas, it's definitely up in the mountains, and the sea kind of warms it up, so it doesn't form in the summers. However, in our northernmost areas, it's kind of like we have the ice up here, and also it starts to form down in little tiny clumps. So let's go ahead and remember that. Let's go to another place on the world map to kind of see how the snow lays. Come over here to Canada and also to Alaska. That's where my dad's from. And it's kind of the same thing. We have, as expected, we have large ice areas in the mountains. Hey, Puppet Master, good to see you. Ladies and gentlemen, Puppet Master, once again in the stream. Really appreciate your support. We're looking down here onto the west coast of Canada. And again, you see where let's zoom in here. Let's really zoom in here. See how the ice is just generally staying on top of the mountains in this area, and it doesn't get to the coast? We're going to try to replicate that today. Now, the principles in this can be used for ArtRage. It can be used for Wonderdraft, and it can also be used for Incarnate. So let's go ahead and take a look at one of my big maps here. I just got done with this one. This is an ArtRage, if you haven't used it. But again, the principle is the same. And what I found is the best thing to do is kind of plan out where things are going first. Let's go ahead and do that right now. Now, let's go ahead and choose another brush and kind of get a darker color there. First thing we're going to have to ask is, what direction is the snow? We're going to have it up here. All right, now the next thing we have to decide is how much snow there's going to be. So I'm going to say we have a little line here. Okay, this is going to be super cold. Okay, and then we're going to have another line here. And this is just going to be cold. And then we're going to have another line here. And this is going to be kind of cold. And there's just going to be temperate down here. Now, when I first was kind of studying this, the first thing I did was just grab, a bright white and just go on and just start whitening up areas. And unfortunately, that really mutes the map. And all the things that I'm doing here, we lose all this detail and all the texture and the height that we've added with color. So I found that was a no-no. So let's not do that on this one, but let's go ahead and plan something else. Let's go ahead, and I found the best way to do this is to get an idea of where the ice, first of all, sits on the mountains. So what I do is I find up in these cold areas, I'm going to make triangles. Okay, here's this mountain range, and I'm going to make a triangle like this. And I'm going to make a triangle that comes over here like this. Basically, wherever there is a big mountain range is where I'm going to be placing a triangle. Why triangles? Because it gives an organized pattern to what we're about to do and the colors we're about to make. Now, the triangles can overlap like crazy. That's great. It's all part of the process. Now, I'm not worrying about forests on this. I'm going to turn that layer off here in a second because our forests are going to be deeply affected by, oops, that's a square. We want triangles. are going to be deeply affected by where our snowfall is. Let's say we have another one over here. Another one on this mountain. We're going to put a big one over here. This is going to be my Greenland, and another over here. Let's say we have one over here. And actually, I could put a triangle right there, too. All right. Now that we kind of have an idea of where our big snowpacks are going to be, we're going to say this is kind of our summer months when it's absolutely the hottest. But we definitely do want some snow. Let's actually put one right there, too. All right. Let's go ahead and get rid of some of these planning pages. We'll come back to these later, but actually let's go ahead and drop these to about, I don't know, 10%. 40, Dan. Sorry, trying to reach over everything I have here. And this one we'll just bring down just so we barely see it. Okay. So the first step is we're going to start a little bit backwards from what we usually do in ArtRage. We're going to come in with our airbrush. And these areas that we just marked off, we are going to choose a gray with about 20% of metallic. And again, if we're doing this in Wonderdraft, we'd be doing the same thing. We'd find a nice light gray and would slowly, and again, we're working with a very low opacity here. We would slowly add the gray to these triangles. If I was in the right map, there we go. Now, I am following the mountains with this and doing circles, but I'm also making sure I get everything in that triangle. Now, if I look at a triangle like right here, that's a little too much. So let's turn off the forest. They're kind of being distracting. There we go. We're just adding this dark gray over everything. Now, why dark gray? Since there's a lot, since it's a very saturated color, now I need to do another triangle right here, but we'll just accept that it's there. It's going to mute, but also pull out the darker tones. And we'll come over here. Same thing over here. This area, we're just going, rounded circles for the blend. But the key here is we're only doing one pass at it. We're not really going nuts with the gray. Because our next step is going to be adding another layer of gray to this. All right. Big old area right here. Making sure we get all the mountains. And again, the triangles aren't absolute. They're just kind of a guide. Also be doing this in Wonderdraft in a later video. Coming back here into our Greenland area. We're just going to lighten it with this gray. There we go. Come down here into this area. All right. Let's go ahead and get rid of the triangles now. We actually don't need them. So let's go ahead and see how that looks. So it looks it's kind of like a frosting on where we want to put our mountains. Now, our next step is we're going with a little darker gray now, and we are coming into the areas around these, and we're running that dark gray where the rivers are into these areas. Okay, so we're preparing our canvas to, there we go. We're preparing our canvas for the next step because we want a sharp contrast. Now, I'm running this very dark gray down into the valleys. Around these mountains, around the areas where I picked out to be cold. That's going to increase the visibility between the contrast between the mountains, and also when we're going to put the big snow caps on. Again, it doesn't take much, just we're looking at one pass at the very most. Because our deciduous trees are going to turn into conifers. Let's have a look at that really quick. All right, that's going well. All right, so next step, let's go with that. Let's go with the lighter gray. And now comes the fun part. We're going to kind of find our mountains here. We're going to come in. We're going to turn this down to about, I don't know, 300% of the tool. Again, I'm working with a 400 DPI. Let's go ahead and pop that down to 250. And now I'm going to take this lighter gray. I'm going to add a ton of metallic into it. And I'm slowly going to trace the outlines of the mountains. Just really, really, really light. Where the mountains are. Just doing a circle. We're doing very broad strokes. Nothing crazy. White is such a powerful color that we don't want it to go nuts on our map here. And oh, it can go nuts. Now I'm also trying to connect the white, but also stay on these mountains. Now again, here's our little line. You can see it right here. So we're going to kind of back off a little bit. The reason why we added so much metallic is, and we're tracing the mountains, we really want these mountains to pop. But we want to avoid it looking like plastic. So that's why we're doing only about one pass on where the mountains are. So we've gone from the triangles to blend. That's what they're primary for. And now we're just going with layers of gray and white to make these mountains and areas pop. Now, if there aren't mountains in those, like up here, I didn't put a triangle, and that's great because we want a little bit of variance between where things are, like some mountain ranges. Some mountain ranges will be in a warmer current, air current. It also depends on your rain shadow. For this example, though, we're not going to worry too much about rain shadow because that kind of gets a little crazy. Okay, we're getting there. We are getting there. And these guys here, we got the gray on it. We'll just do that, do that. Now let's come all the way over here to Greenland. And I'm just going to, if there's a texture here, I'm going to hit this white. I'm going to come down, doing streaks like this. Off these mountains and making those detail pop. All right. Again, we go a light gray triangles to blend. We go a dark gray to, we go to dark gray to help the other things blend. And I have no idea what that sound is. All right. Okay, let's have a look at that. See, we're getting better at it. Now, if in this area I want some more, so let's go ahead and redo what we did. Let's say there's a triangle there. We put a medium gray. Then we use this dark gray to blend. Then we come in with that lighter gray again with a high metallic and just throw it there. All right, same thing down here. Same thing under here. Okay, we're getting there. Let's go ahead and now let's ice cap the mountains. We're going like total white. Drop this down to, we want this to be a little lower, so about 19% metallic. We're going to come in and we're going to go top to bottom. We're going to come in down here first into our cold zone, well, into our temperate zone. We're going to find our mountains and we are going to up the opacity like crazy. And we are going, oops, way too much brush. Let's get this down to about, I don't know, about there. We are going to find the top of our peaks. And we are going to just highlight where those peaks are. Just like that. Now we're into a, again, keeping to the highest mountains down here. We don't want to blend it too far. Now we're going to get into our colder region. And we are going to find the top of every little mountain. And we kind of want a space between stuff. We don't want this giant line, but we also want things to look connected. So the mountains we already put down, we're just going to run this over the tops of them and kind of blobs. No circles, just blobs of the airbrush. Okay. If there's other peaks that we haven't noticed, we're going to hit those too. Again, that'll kind of create a interesting blob, 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 an interesting mix between things. So here we'll do some, maybe over here, not too much over here though. Now we're in our colder area. So we are going to hit our mountains like crazy. If it has a bump, we're going to hit it. As such. Now that foundation we put down with the grays is going to help a lot with the blending. But right now we are going for a stark transition of cold. Once we get done with this, we'll switch over to kind of a more thematic approach using the same technique. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, looking good there. We've got to make sure we hit all these mountains though. And again, the reason I didn't just plop white down, let's say we're down here and I throw down white. You get this weird, see that? It just doesn't look good. You don't get the contrast between the gray. That gray really mutes it. See right here, I didn't do that. And I'm using the exact same force on the brush, but I'm not getting that blending. That's really kind of critical in this with this type of map style. All right, I'm back here. This is going to take a little while. I apologize about that. Could just do one area. I might just do one area on this. Now this guy over here, I'm just going to blob out these mountains here. All right, these guys here too. Again, blobbing, but I'm starting to do circles now. All right. Might be doing a stream late tomorrow, I hope. I'm feeling up to it. And that stream will be based on getting... Okay, really quick, forget about that. We're coming up here. And we are actually now we're going to start running that line to show where stuff is. Okay, and right now I'm just following little squiggles, little round stuff. Not too much, not too hard. We got that gray there. See how that makes that pop? See, the hard part with snow and ice is that it creates an entirely new layer on the mountains and on the texture for everything. Now, right now, since we're so far north, I'm going to start dropping this white. I'm not pushing very hard. I'm just adding a circle for blending. But in those gray areas, I'm really going to start pushing. All right, let's go ahead and look at that. Oops, wrong button. All right, don't fret. We're at the ugly phase in the painting. Let's go back in. And more white. Make sure we're getting all those crevices. And I think this is looking good. Let me know, guys. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to make, if you guys can see, I'm making little white streaks coming down from the mountains. Little white streaks. But not too many. And only where the mountains, actually that looks like crap, so let's not do that. Come up here to the colder areas. All right. So we're just going to focus over here. We're going to come back to our gray. There's some touch up we really need to do. Oh yeah. Okay. So now we're at this point where we've got the mountains. This is pretty summer. This would be pretty summer, but let's say we don't want that. We're making a campaign for our characters and for our players. So let's repeat this process. Let's go with this gray. We're going to add it a little bit thicker this time. We're going to go with this dark gray. We're going to avoid the mountains as much as possible. We might not have a choice. But I'm also going to now run the gray up into the dark gray into the where the rivers are. And then we're just going to blend it by ear, meaning by sight. But we're going to stay away from the coastlines. Up here we won't. We'll pretty much cover this area, but I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. Okay, we're running this color up. Running the gray up. Keep that metallic decently low. Running the gray up. Staying away from the edges. And because we've made so many layers, I mean, yeah, it'd be easy to just drop color, but because we used all those layers of the white and the gray before, we're getting a more of a realistic blend on what we're doing. Okay, again, staying away from the edges. Up here, we'll fill all this in with that dark gray. Let's have a look at that. All right, let's come down here and do the same, but we're not going to go as far. We're just going to come down here. Kind of do the same thing. Once we're in our colder area, we'll definitely run it. All right. Yeah, let's have a look at that. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, now let's go back to this whiter gray. We're going to use this, and we're going to find all the high places, like right here. And we're just going to, with a 600, we're just going to tap on where the high places are. Let's go ahead and move that down to about 250. If I can reach. All right, yeah, we're just going to tap. Maybe some circles on this higher places. With that whiter gray. Kind of avoid going over the mountains. We're only looking for places between the mountains that are high and the rivers, like right here. We're really not putting much pressure on these. It's just kind of, like I said, like little taps. Down there. Down there. There we go. Down there. Down through here. Because we really want that blend. If we just throw white down, we're going to lose all our texture in our mountains. Hey Ryan, how are you? Sorry, I've kind of got sucked into the no brain throwing paint on this. Now where this mountain is, we don't want to take this white near those rivers. Because going back to Google Earth, let's sit back there. In areas like this, let's pull that back. Let's go back over here to Greenland. We kind of want to be replicating this kind of thing. All right. Now again, for this style, this is what I found works well. I did try just blasting white all over the place, and it looked like mud. It wasn't a good fit for this. But again, where there's height, we're throwing something down. It's kind of a long, arduous process in ArtRage. WonderDraft is a lot more inclusive to it, because you can add some custom shapes in WonderDraft that just make it look great. We do want to kind of keep these browns a little, so I'm backing off on those. These colder areas. Again, we're hitting the tops of where the brown is. We're kind of hitting those. All right. Again, we're reaching down near the coastlines. Yeah, I'm doing good today. I've been getting over a surgery that's been kind of painfully slow and annoying. But I got up and felt good and said, I'm going to stream today. Oh, wow, we totally neglected this guy here. We'll demonstrate on it. Okay, so, see how that's looking? Now, we're only now going to just focus on this area. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to come in with this white. And this is, I'm going to up the metallic in it quite a bit. Well, let's actually put about 30%. And I'm going to get in here, and where the mountains are, I'm going to make these wide, big, arching circles. Again, it's layer and layer and layer and layer on paint. And since we got all that gray and white in there, it's going to blend a lot better. See what's going on there? Because it's really, you can even see how the white's kind of taken over this top part. So you have to be real careful with it. That's why we added so much of those other colors. Now down here, I'm just kind of starting to blob stuff. There we go. Kind of connecting everything. And it's just one layer after another. You start with gray, you go white, you do the triangle thing to kind of figure out where you want stuff. Now, I might find something else out. If I find a better way to do this, because this is really time intensive. If I find a better way to do this, I will be making another video. But this is, after a couple of weeks of just playing with it, the gray on white and white on gray and then gray again, just to build up the textures. All right. We're getting there. Now, where the mountains connect, I'm actually going to make just kind of a rough circle. There we go. Yeah, in these cold areas, I'm just going to expand the white. But again, expanding it from the middle, going outwards. And you can finally see that we're starting to looking something that is definitely gives us that snow. Now, see how this gray layer is kind of creeping up? We want to keep that. There we go. Just really simple, really quick. Now up here's a different story. We're just going to start just one pass of white. Staying away from the coast as much as possible. Looks like we got some blending to do, so let's grab our gray. Come up in here, blend a little bit better. All right. So we're getting there. Okay, final thing to do. We're going to hit these mountains one more time. We're still going with this white, but we're now going to take the metallic up to 100%. And only on the top of the big peaks, we're going to add this white. This is really going to make it pop out. Also, it gives it kind of a reflective color. We want to avoid that like the plague on anything else but the mountains, because we want them to pop. I'm just blobbing it and adding it into the higher places, and only in the really cold places. See how that pops? All right, this would be about in the fall where the snow lies. Let's say we now go into the winter. I'm going to go back to the white. And this is where we're going to get a little crazy. From the mountains, I'm just going to pull, whoops, way too much color there. Put the opacity down. Start here. And I'm bringing everything down from the mountains, the cold down from the mountains in these straight lines. Oh, thank you. Uphill Lobster, welcome to the stream. Okay, and then we're just in 360 degrees. We're just pulling the snow down into the bottom area. Now, we don't care about the coast anymore. See, I'm doing this kind of thing with the brush. I hope you guys can't hear that. So there was a massive, in our neighborhood, the water main exploded. And they just turned on the water, and it's making some unheavenly noises throughout my house. So I hope you guys can't hear that. Or can. It might be fun. Okay, we're running this color down. Again, just one pass. We're not going over it. Just one pass back and forth. We're not going to worry about this area here because this, I don't want to be here for 3 hours and stuff. Okay, good, because it's like, you know, the night after a Taco Bell binger. There we go, we got our frost. Now up here, we're just going to cover this whole area. But with all that color we used, all the grays, all the whites, we still are retaining our land definition, the texture of our map. Oh, we got a little area up here that's been bad. See, if I'm going over here on this, let's just say I spam color like crazy. It just doesn't look right, and it just blends weird. So that's why we do the gray. Go with the gray. Spam the gray, we go back to the white, plop it, hit our points, and then pull it down near the coast. Then if you really want, you could do the middle, okay? So with ArtRage, this is the best way I've found to do the maps. Now, Wonderdraft is a different story. I will do a video a little later this week on Wonderdraft because we have a lot of people coming for Wonderdraft. Oh, right down here, guys. See how I added that white and it's kind of like this weird bleachy color? Yeah, we don't want that. Again, we'll go back to our gray. Put that down first. Little circles to blend. Pull it down our rivers, and then we'll go with this white. Put it where the mountains are in blobs. And then do that with it. All right. Yeah, we're frocking the map, guys. Okay, again, demonstration on this hill right here. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, we start off with we do the triangle thing. So, boom, 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 boom. You kind of can't see it, but that's okay. Where our mountains are. Not seeing any. Well, we'll do some down here. Maybe on these islands. I always forget the islands. Okay, then we go with white. We bring this down to about 100. We're going to mark out our mountains. Our mountain areas with that white. Make it pop from the gray. We're going to go back to the gray and kind of fill a little bit and blend. Then we're going to come back to the white and hit our higher topography, but just little tiny blobs. And it's just that back and forth is how you get the color mix. Now, let's go ahead and with a lighter gray, we're going to hit the coastline pretty hard. We still want to keep that green, but we just want a very gentle covering. So I'm just going like this. Little circles like this. I can do stuff with Dungeon Draft. I haven't got into it, but I definitely will look at it if you'd like me to. I actually like Dungeon Draft a lot. All right, these green islands I'm coming in, especially in this north, with a whiter white, but still a gray, because that's going to merge with all our other colors. And I'm hitting the coastlines now. Again, this is a fall winter map now. Right now I've been working a lot on virtual tabletop stuff. But this one map has been a request from a lot of the oldest members of the channel and community for me to finally get down and get a ice map done. But I'm only putting this white in the coldest areas. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Ignore this place over here. We don't like that place. But we are dealing, so in this area, it is starting to look good. Now I got some gray here. I'm going to fill that in. It's a little distracting. Not too much though. And that is how Forgotten. Okay, let me write this down. I'll save it in chat. Forgotten Adventures Asset Pack. Dungeon Draft Forgotten Adventures Asset Pack. Yeah, I'll definitely look at that. I think that'd be fun. Kind of doing the same thing down here. The back and forth. Just going like this. That's giving us that cold, cold feel. And again, once you have the white, make sure you turn down. Usually I recommend if you're doing textures, a metallic of about 24%. But right now we're just kicking about 16%. All right. How's that look, guys? We could do some more work on it, more blending, more gray to white, gray to white, gray to white. But I think the key to this is that gray. Bill Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen, we have Bill, my good friend, Bill Hollywood in the chat with us today. Bill is a master builder. He does stuff in, it is the absolutely most beautiful sets in 7 Days to Die that he makes. On his Twitch channel, I'd really greatly appreciate it if you guys find Bill Hollywood's Twitch channel and subscribe to it. It is well worth it. He streams nightly, PUBG and other things. And on Saturdays, he makes the most amazing, and I mean this, the most amazing structures. Like he showed me this that it was better than anything in Skyrim or anything I'd ever seen in any role-playing game or anything like that. So if you want a really good channel, really fun, Billy Hollywood, guys. Billy Hollywood. All right. There we go. We're looking all frosty and happy right there in this area. But if you notice, we have all these colors. We have this gray color. We have the green poking out in places that gives it a depth that makes it feel like we just haven't, thrown up white all over it, which we kind of have, but in a very practice controlled manner of, Ralphing all over the map. Okay. We're doing good there. Does anybody have any questions in chat or anything they'd like to see with this or any comments? Also, again, since this is a community project, if you're seeing things that you don't like, please let me know so I can grow too. Hey, not a problem, Bill. 7 Days to Die medieval build today. I'd really recommend you go watch that. Bill, what time is that at? There we go. A little more down here, just for grins. All right, guys, that's how you make a snow map in ArtRage. So, thank you all so much for coming. We're going to call it there. I will get a Wonder Draft up. Also, starting at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for about a 6-hour stream, Bill is also making a medieval build. Please, please, please go watch that. It is breathtaking and fun. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining the stream. Again, for those that have been waiting this for so long, thank you for your patience. I hope this looks good to you. If you think I can do better, let me know and I will try another technique. Again, everybody, thank you for being here. Shout out to Ryan, Uphill Lobster, of course, Puppet Master, and Bill Hollywood, and also Nomad for attending. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you all later.